If you do not know Brian Dunlap, Brian has shared his story with us as a church and is working through his call on life. So I am grateful to yield the pulpit to Brian. I am really anxious to get back in the pulpit. I just need to tell you that. I'm like itching, which means I must be getting better because I can't. No. I wouldn't take away that privilege. Brian, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Good morning. I'd first like to thank Pastor Dan and Pastor Dillip for giving me the opportunity to speak again. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and it's not something that I take lightly. One of the most challenging things about preparing a sermon is the self-reflection it takes. You really need to not only get into the Word, but you really need to look at yourself. You can't sit up here and tell a story and A, not believe it, or B, not really have the experience. And the Lord's given us all experiences. So it's just, you have to find a way you can tap into it. I look at myself, my journey, and I often wonder, how did I get to this point? Here I am standing in front of a church, giving a sermon, when 10 months ago I wouldn't even acknowledge God. But I think that what that does is it's a testament to the incredible God that we have. Because the Lord never, ever closes the book on you. He just opens a new chapter. And I am beyond overjoyed that he began my new chapter here at Middlesex United Methodist Church. I was asked to speak about Galatians 5, specifically the fruit of the Spirit. What is it? What is the fruit of the Spirit? Well, when I first found out what I was going to be giving my sermon about, I asked my boys. I said, guys, I'm going to be talking about the fruit of the Spirit. Do you know what that is? And after a little conversation, it was almost like a little conference, they came to a conclusion. They came to me and said, Daddy, we know what it is. I said, what is it? They said, the fruit of the Spirit, that's the apple Adam and Eve ate in the Garden of Eden. It's not, but it's a testament to our incredible children's ministry, the fact they have kids thinking like this. Now, to take a term from a pastor we all know and love, let's unpack the fruit of the Spirit. Galatians 5:22 says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Again, it's love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. It's the gift we all receive when we become one with Christ. These are gifts that we should share with one another. They're given to you. As soon as you accept Jesus, you get these. By demonstrating this, by demonstrating the fruit of the Spirit, we should have no problem fulfilling what it is the Lord wants us to do as Christians. And that's to love God and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Sounds great. Sounds easy. But something happens. Something always seems to get in our way. There's a disconnect. We can't fulfill this. Why? It's given to us. Why can't we use it? Well, Galatians 5:7 says, you are running a good race. Who cut in on you from obeying the truth? I love that verse. You are running a good race. You were doing so good. You were doing great. What happened? What got you off course? Well, a lot of times it can be coworkers, friends, the rumor mill. There's no place more toxic than a break room at work, a locker room. But a lot of times, friends, all we have to do is look in the mirror. It's usually us. We trip ourselves up. We can be our own worst enemy. I like to look at it as a diet. Who here, show of hands, has ever been on a diet before? Who's ever been on a diet before? We're in church. Who's ever been on a diet before? All right. All right. You eat healthy. You do it all day. You're motivated. You eat great all day. You're counting your calories. You're doing it because it's good for you. Now, same show of hands. Who ever cheated on that diet? We're in church. I don't want to get struck by lightning. We're in church. We all have. We give in. I know with me personally, I want to go on my diet, I want to cut weight, get ready for something, and I'm all good to go. The night before, I pack all my food, everything's good. Wake up the next morning, I'm good. 6 hours later, the different story. We surrender to the flesh. We cut ourselves off. We give in. But why is that? We know it's not good for us, but we do it anyway. Galatians 5:19 tells us what the opposite of the fruit of the Spirit is. It's immorality, it's impurity, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, factions, envy, drunkenness. The complete opposite of what the fruit of the Spirit is. But you weren't given these. You have to go out and find these, like that junk food that you try to hide. See, I look at these things as being the junk food of the flesh. You do great all day and something happens. Something happens that changes you and gets you off your diet. It could be something someone said. It could be you saw someone do something and maybe they're getting a little bit better than you are. So instead of being happy for that person, you get a little jealous. And like I said before, the break room at work, the rumor mill, and you fall into it. Because see, what we do is, as Christians, what we need to remember is, it's not the action, it's the reaction. How do you react? Well, the way you should react is what you've been given. The love, the joy, the peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Because, see, you control that. No matter what anyone does to you, you control how you react. But we give in, because sometimes it's like eating that junk food and cheating on the diet, giving in to the fits of rage, the anger. It feels good. It feels good for that moment. You know that you're ruining your diet. You know it's not healthy for you. But you do it anyway, because that moment it feels good. And much like eating unhealthy, letting these other things in has an adverse effect, not only your physical health, but your emotional and spiritual health as well. Galatians 5:9 says, a little yeast works through the whole dough. See, when you give into that anger, that rage, when you react, and a lot of times our reactions are much worse than the action we originally experienced. We take it up a notch. And then it starts this chain reaction and this domino effect. We've all heard the term, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to do all these great things. As a church, it takes a church as a community. But you know what? It may take a village to do those things, but it only takes that one person. That one person. Like Galatians 9 says, a little yeast works through the whole dough. It only takes that one person to set that chain reaction in motion. Don't get caught up in it. You have a gift to combat that. By not living in the fruit and by the fruit of the Spirit, it's impossible to do what it is God truly wants us to do. That's to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. When I was studying this and working this and reading this and rewriting this, I thought of I'll tell a quick story of a situation where I was in. And it's funny, you look back at it 20 years, like I said, the self-reflection it takes when you get ready to do a sermon. And it was a prime example of me using the gifts the Lord gave us. Didn't give me, gave us. But me tapping in and using them. And at the same time, combating all the outside negativity and not giving into it. When that would have been so easy, so simple. So the story goes like this. I was a young police officer. I had about 3 years on the job. 3 years may not sound like a lot, but where I was a cop at, 3 years, they're like dog years. Like, you know, with dogs, 1 human year is 7 dog years. That's kind of like the way it was. By year 3, I have seen it all. We had a bridge that connected us to Northeast Philadelphia. And this bridge, unfortunately, a lot of people, when they ran into problems and hard times, that's the way they solved their problems. They would jump off. Now, the way the bridge was constructed and the way it was dredged, because it wasn't like Susquehanna here. We had those big oil tankers, the ocean-going cargo ships. They would come up and down all the time. So when someone jumped in, they went down. And because of the currents and stuff, they didn't come up for approximately 2 weeks. They would just be like in a washing machine, just getting pounded around. So the bodies would pop up anywhere from 250 to 500 yards north or south of the bridge. And it's 10 days, 2 weeks when they pop up, and for whatever reason, they always ended up on the Jersey side. The first time I saw one of those bodies, I'm not getting into the graphics of it, but it was a very disturbing event. It was something that would stick with you for any normal person for the rest of your life. By year 3, that body, I wouldn't put down my sandwich or coffee when I was standing over top of it. It had no more meaning to me than an inanimate object that's just like a tire or a piece of driftwood that happened to come up on the shore. I became hardened. I put a wall on. Outside of work, I was fine. Put that uniform on, the wall goes up. So, like I said, 3 years on, we were a very busy police department. I was very aggressive. I wanted to catch the bad guys, and I did a good job of doing that. One morning, we got a call for a domestic dispute. It's usually, most of the time, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband-wife fighting. Not unusual at that time of morning. Go down to this apartment complex. It's about 10:30 a.m., 11. Go down to the apartment complex, right by the bridge, actually. And I see these 2 old people knocking on the door, yelling, "Let us in." So I walk up and said to him, "What's up?" The father turns to me, and he was an elderly gentleman, and he looked at me like Superman had arrived. I am going to solve his problems. I'm here to help. So I said to him, "What's going on?" "Well, officer, our son, he's 38 years old. He's under VA care. He's bipolar. The VA put him up in this apartment, and he hasn't talked to us for 2 weeks." I said, "Okay." I said, "Is he in there?" "Yeah." "How do you know?" "Because he yelled for us to go away." "All right." He said he's 38. "Yeah, he's 38. "Did he say he was going to hurt himself?" "No." "Was he going to hurt you?" "No." "Was he going to hurt anybody?" "No." So I had to tell him the cold facts. You have to go. He's an adult. He's not endangering himself or anyone around. You need to go. See, in the meantime, when I'm dealing with them, I'm getting calls on the radio for other things for me to respond to, and I'm not doing it because I'm tied up with them. So they look at me and they're deflated. Like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Legally, I can't do anything. So you guys, the only ones creating a problem right now are you. So you have to go." Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Well, my sergeant pulls up because he wants to know. Usually a situation like that would take 20 seconds to handle, and I've been there for about 3 minutes. Wants to know if everything's okay. So I'm like, "Yeah, Sarge," explain what was going on. He looks at me and says, "Dunlap, you make sure they get across the bridge. I don't care if you have to pay their toll. Just get them out of here. We're not dealing with this all day. We're running behind." "No problem, Sarge, I got it." So they're crying. I'm walking them to the car, and I'm giving them the old, "Yeah, it's a shame. I wish I could do more." Whoops. Well, okay. I actually opened the door for them. And before I closed the door, something happened. Can't explain it. Not even going to think about what caused me to do this, but I asked them for their phone number. And I said, "Listen, I can't make your son talk to you. I can't do it. But what I can do is I can come check on him. Maybe I'll stop maybe twice a week. Just to let you know he's alive. That's the best I can do." So to them, obviously, it isn't what they wanted to hear, but it was the best that I could do. So they close the door, they go on their way. About 2 days pass. I swing down there, knock on the door. "What? Did you call your parents?" "No." "Call your parents?" "No." "Dude, just call your parents." "No." "All right, talk to you tomorrow." Next day. "What? Did you call your parents?" "No." "Call your parents?" "No." "Bro, call your parents." "No." "All right." So literally this goes on for about 6 weeks of constant just... Now in the meantime, I'm telling the parents, "Yeah, I heard his voice. I didn't see him, but I heard him. He is alive." And that's all they had. I was the lifeline between them and their son. So you may be asking, what does this have to do with the fruit of the Spirit? Well, here I am. I'm showing love. I'm showing peace. I'm showing kindness. I'm showing goodness. I'm showing gentleness. I'm showing all this stuff. In other words, I'm being a Christian. Now, in that locker room that I talked about before, one day I walk in, and there's this, some cops are great artists. There's this great picture of me dressed as a Boy Scout helping an old lady across the street. And they asked if I was going for my merit badge. Because, see, we're young, aggressive. We're alpha males. We're the tip of the spear. We're out there getting the bad guys. We're not being family counselors. That's not what we're here for. That's the mindset. But something changed, and I just had to do this. So one day I go down there, I knock on the door. The door opens, but only enough for the chain to latch, so I can actually see his eye. So when I talk to the parents this time, I can tell them I physically saw his eye. He has an eye. When I asked him, I said, dude, did you call your parents? He said, no. I said, just call your parents. And he again said, no. Before he slammed the door on me, I looked in, and I saw that he had a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and a box of Newport sitting on the table, and he slams the door. So now, I come back the next day. But before I go through the drive-in at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I get a bucket of chicken. I stop at the corner store. I get him a box of Newport cigarettes. Knock on the door. Slams open to the chain. But now I bring gifts. So it starts with what? You hungry? Click. He lets me in. So I sign out with my dispatcher. I tell him I'm on a well-being check down on Harbor Drive. And I stay there about 15, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes of a 12 to 16-hour shift isn't a long time. But it was the best time because we talked. And I found out that he was a air traffic controller in the Navy. And he was hearing voices. And it's a very bad thing for an air traffic controller to try to land planes that aren't there and not pay attention to the planes that are trying to land. So I asked him again, why don't you just call your parents? And he said, no. I'm 24. He's 38. I mean, to me, he's an old man. And I don't get it. All right, man. I'll be back tomorrow. So now I'm taking 15, 20 minutes. Now, inside the locker room, things have gotten really bad. I wish I saved some of the artwork, but they actually were able to superimpose my face and me in my uniform on a Girl Scout recruiting poster and hung that up in the locker room. There was legitimately guys were mad about this. They were mad that because I wasn't falling into what they wanted to do. I wasn't doing what they wanted. What I was doing was such an obtuse idea to them. But so be it. I didn't give in. I didn't cheat on my diet. So long story short, if that's possible with me, I knock on the door one day, no answer. Again, no answer. Not good. Look over, see the bridge, walk away thinking, I'm probably going to see him again 2 weeks from now, 250 yards north or south of the bridge. Get in my car, start answering calls. I get a call from a dispatcher for me to contact the parents. So I think we know where this is going. Go back to the station house, pick up the phone, I call. Father answers, and he's so distraught. He's sobbing. He's not getting anything out. We've all been there, or we've all been around people like that, where they're just crying, and they're trying to get words out. And I can hear the mother crying in the background. And he just keeps on repeating, my son, my son, my son. Finally, after several times of saying, what? Well, what about your son? I had to get loud. I yelled at him, well, what's going on? And there's a pause. And he says, my son, he's home. The mother is in the background screaming, God bless you. I hear the son in the background screaming, he still wants his Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I'm at a loss. I'm shocked. I'm at an absolute loss. So I just said to them, I'm glad I could help. And we hung up the phone with each other, and that was it. Now, I would like to say I was just doing my job, but I wasn't doing my job in law enforcement. I wasn't doing my job as a cop. I was doing my job as a Christian. That was my job. I've done a lot of things in law enforcement. I've done things that I've been awarded city, county, state, even up to the federal level for investigations and arrests and things I've done. This right here was the best thing I did in law enforcement. This was the best thing I did. Now, I'm going to let you decide for yourselves the ending for this, if it's a happy ending or if it's a sad ending. I've kicked it back and forth since I've replayed it in my mind and since reading Galatians 5:22. But I'll let you come up with your own decision, but I'll tell you what I think. About 4 months pass, and I get a call from my dispatcher to call the parents. You know what? I haven't even thought about them in 4 months. It'd be nice to catch up with them. Nice to see how things are going. Pull in the station house, call them. Hey, what's up? Haven't talked to you in a while. And very plainly, matter of fact, like a college professor rambling off a note, the father says, Truman Dunlap, our son's dead. He's dead. He's 38 years old. How? Dead? How? Why? And he explained, said, he had an aneurysm, brain aneurysm, that went unchecked, unnoticed. He wasn't bipolar. It was the pressure on the brain. They never checked. And I said, well, what do you need? What do you guys need? And they said, nothing. We just want to say thank you. Thank you for what? He genuinely meant it. And I said, thank you for what? Your son just died. Why are you thanking me? And he said, we had the 4 best months of our lives with our son, these last 4 months, and you made that possible. He's at peace. We're at peace. Thank you. And he hung up the phone. So when I think of the story, I think it had a happy ending. I truly do. Because how many of us, from my own experiences with my parents, their final months, that was brutal. The suffering, the long agony that we watched all. Their best memories of their son were their last memories of their son. That's awesome. And what they said, they're at peace, he's at peace. And I'm at peace with that. So friends, my challenge to you is this. Stick with your diet. Stick with it. Don't cheat. Don't weigh yourself by that scale. Weigh yourselves with your heart. Thank you.